Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw tips and tricks. The young lady sent me the font, and it's going to help a lot because this font is a little bit different. So I'm going to left click, right click, and see we've got some places that already need welding. So we could take it, but our weld doesn't open up. So we can go to Object and Shaping and Weld, and it gets rid of that. But I don't want to do that yet. I want to create the other parts to make it a stencil font. And this font is a little bit different. You really only need a stencil. A stencil is just a break in the item so it will not fall out. And to the scale that she sent me, this thing is only 2.5 inches or 2 1/3 inches long. You need at least a, and I got to draw that. She draws Marini, the file I'm using. I quit saying that. Hairline. I always draw in hairline, and you need depending on what you're going to cut this out of, is determining your thickness, and that's pretty little, but it's not much smaller than the font itself. So we're going to go with it. I'm going to make it red. Everywhere there's an opening, you need to, and I'm just hitting the plus key. You need to put one of these. The T and the I and everything doesn't need one. It's a shame that this part of the font here does, because it's not much showing. And I would maybe even alter that font a little bit to make it work. And we'll just need to make sure we're not touching the other one. And I'm going to show you what it's going to look like in here in just a second. The other part of the letters don't need stenciling. So I'm going to select it all, and now the weld does work. Well, no, it didn't. Let's try this weld. Nope, not going to work. So what I'm going to have to do, and this is pretty good, I'm going to back up. Go forward where I have all of them. And then you know what? I didn't even put one. I didn't put one on the S. And for some reason, the one on that part looks thinner. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, instead of redoing that, I'm going to move this out of the way. Move our graphic out of the way. And I'm going to weld this with this tool. See, I've got it welded now, and I got rid of those other parts. Now, the only thing wrong with this, especially in a stencil type deal, if we do it now, we might lose some of the interior parts. See, and that's not going to work. You could sit here and trim. You could sit here and do everything you wanted to do. And by the time you figure it out, you'd be a lot better off just taking the virtual segment delete key. And if you hold down the Alt key, you can swipe right through there. The Alt key is going to allow you to swipe. Now we're going to have broken segments. And another thing I would have done is I would have got rid of that part of the eye. And I'll show you here in just a second. And it all depends on how you want it to look. The eye is going to fall out, but so you could either leave it like this, or you could go up to Object and break the curve apart and then take that eye and bring it down a little bit to just have it hanging on, and maybe even less than that. Because I'm going to use a Smart Fill tool anyway, because that way the red and the black lines are going to fall apart if you move it, because they're not joined. So let's see how big this thing is. It's a little over 2.5 inches, so 3 is good. I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool, and it's going to kind of help you figure out what it's going to look like done. So you can actually delete this, and you can make a duplicate of that and put it back and then left click, right click. Make sure it's a hairline if you're going to cut it out. And this is what it's going to look like in the wood. If we left click, right click, that would bug me to no end because I draw in. Hairline is a lot better to draw in. If we make, and you'll have to use a smart fill on this, let's make it like a piece of wood. That's what it's going to look like cut out. And if you did not do that, let me just explain this. I mean, that does look, it looks okay. You could take your time. And the one I'm doing this for, she said it was a common font, but I did not have it. And then we go up to, I always find it's better to take the pick tool. So if you did not do that, this is what it's going to look like. And that all you're doing is saving the center parts of the letter. This is a particularly hard font. Most stencil fonts are, straight up forward fonts. Let's just do this. Let's type in a stencil font I've got. See, there's a stencil font. But maybe this is the logo and they need to cut it out and they want to use that font. And there's a lot more things you could do now. You could make it look a little bit better, depending on what you're cutting it out of and how strong it's going to be. That doesn't look too bad, but that looks almost too thick. And you could maybe, it'd be nice to have them all the same, but you could actually make that one a little bit thicker. And in this particular case, maybe I would leave the eye like it was. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.